Let's talk about string cheese. Welcome back to Sprung On Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is stand-up comedian Shosh Brodman. Shosh, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm pretty stoked to hear more about string cheese. It's been such a key player in my life, so here we go.
Oh, and I am excited to hear all about this key player in your life. You've got to tell me your relationship with this food. What is it? Why is it your favorite food? Tell me all the things.
So growing up, I was the pickiest eater. There were maybe like 4 total foods in my arsenal, and string cheese was definitely a massive, massive presence in my life. And I feel like I've graduated from a lot of the other things. Like I'm no longer a Kraft mac and cheese on the daily person. I'm no longer a bologna sandwich gal. But to this day, string cheese is like, I will bring string cheese on any trip I take, like car ride, flight. Truly, sometimes I get worried if I'm leaving the continent that they won't have it. So I'll like bring a few extra.
Emergency string cheese.
Truly, like I'm like, well, in Europe, there's no way that they have mozzarella cheese, which we don't need to unpack why I'm so dumb. But I every single morning have a piece of string cheese when I wake up, and my boyfriend calls it my morning cheese.
Okay.
So it's like it's really there. Hearing it all out loud, I'm like, I think there's something wrong with me.
No, first of all, there's nothing wrong with you. This is a show where we don't yuck anybody's yum. Everybody's entitled to their food preferences. It's just become so intertwined into your life, it sounds like, and embedded itself since childhood. Do you remember maybe a pivotal time where you experienced it and was like, hell yes, this is it for me? Or was it just a food that you just remember kind of always being around and it's just stood the test of time?
That's such a good question. I'm definitely, I have a sweet tooth, but I have something weird about me where I can't end a meal on a sweet taste. I have to end on savory, or else I get that like really saccharine, like mouth coating feeling for the rest of the night or day. So it would be just like, it's the perfect size portion for like, I'm not trying to continue eating, but I need to swap the taste. And it is strong enough that it like can negate what you just ate, but not so powerful that you're like, well, now I am going to be reminded all day that I had Cheetos because I just like keep being reminded of it or something like that. So it's just been a real consistent kind of buddy to me in those moments.
Wow. So I wonder if there's like a scientific, I'm not a chemist, but I wonder if there's like a scientific breakdown of this in terms of maybe just from like an emotional, psychological, and like taste bud perspective. It's almost like like in the same vein of like a palate cleanser application where it's like, and now it is time for the cheese, and then just like palate cleanse.
But I will say this, not all cheeses are created equally. Even like fresh mozzarella does not do what I want. Like I've tried Baby Bell, I've tried even different brands, like the organic one from Trader Joe's ain't it. I do like the more I'm talking about this, I'm like, oh, I need to bring this up in therapy because why is this?
This could be, I'm not a licensed professional, but we could treat this as a mini session if you'd like. I can't help you with anything else, but we can absolutely talk about cheese. Yeah.
I don't know what it like. There's just something, especially the Polio yellow pack, the yellow like branded pack, something about it. It's like just neutral enough, but not too creamy. Man, I really am like questioning my life choices in this conversation. But it's all
no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. These should be affirming choices.
Okay.
Yeah. You gotta reframe. Here's my therapist, non-therapist hat. Also, disclaimer, not a professional. We should be embracing your choices and the lifestyle that you've chosen with cheese. I approve of it. I think it sounds very healthy to me, so don't feel badly about it.
I appreciate that. So far, my cholesterol, knock on wood, has not been crazy. And if I eat it first thing in the morning, it's protein before my coffee. So
yeah, actually, you know, I would say this is a great food choice when it comes to some of the applications that you mentioned, just like starting the day, finishing the day. I I don't see a problem.
I appreciate the validation. I do.
Oh boy. Well, I hope at some point or at the end of this, maybe we can reframe some of that. You'll feel more confident, and
Thank you.
to better understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from. You know, there are foods that inspire poetry and get featured in Michelin star tasting menus. And then there's string cheese. No, I'm not here to be tough on this lunchbox hero, the snack that allows you to play with your food. You can't deny the strange satisfaction of peeling off thin, salty strands of mozzarella. But here's the thing. Behind that snack time silliness lies a story that stretches far deeper than you'd think. Today, we're unraveling the history, the science, and the cultural resonance of string cheese. Let's start at the beginning, with the cheese itself. String cheese, at its most fundamental, is a specific type of mozzarella. And mozzarella, of course, hails from Italy. Traditional mozzarella, mozzarella di bufala, has been made in southern Italy since at least the 12th century. It's a fresh, high-moisture cheese made from water buffalo milk and prized for its milky flavor and soft texture. But what makes mozzarella stringy? That's all thanks to a technique called pasta filata, which literally means... Shosh, you want to take a guess of what it means?
A string in the cheese.
Ooh, listen, love it. Straight to the point. I wish that was true. This is also maybe not a fair question because I would have never guessed in 1 million plus years that it means spun paste.
Oh.
Yep, not sure, but that's it. In this method, the curds are heated and stretched repeatedly. The result is a network of aligned protein fibers, giving mozzarella its elasticity and, when cooled just right, its stringy characteristic. Now, in Italy, probably no one was sitting around peeling their mozzarella into little strings that we know of. That transformation wouldn't happen until mozzarella met American ingenuity. Now, time for a quick cheese science sidebar while we're on the topic of making cheese. The stringiness of string cheese is actually food physics. To make string cheese, mozzarella curds are cooked and stretched in hot water until the proteins, specifically casein, align in long fibers. This alignment is what lets you pull apart in long, satisfying strings. It's the same reason you see that stretchy cheese pull in a perfect Neapolitan pizza, but in string cheese, it's condensed into a cylindrical shape, cooled, and packaged. In the US, string cheese is often made from low-moisture, part-skim mozzarella. Now, some brands add cheddar or other cheese for flavor and color variation, but the peelability is all from the stretching process. So if you buy a string cheese that doesn't peel, you're likely eating a cheddar stick, not string cheese. Well, let's meet Frank Baker, a Wisconsin cheese manufacturer with a factory in Little Chute, Wisconsin, a town that practically breathes cheddar. According to most reliable sources, Frank Baker is credited with inventing modern string cheese in the 1970s. Now, to be clear, not the concept of mozzarella, not the method of pasta filata, but the idea of shaping mozzarella into snackable, peelable, individually wrapped sticks. Founded in 1916, the Baker family had been making mozzarella for decades. But in the late 1970s, as the story goes, Baker was looking for a way to make cheese more fun and accessible for kids because apparently getting kids to eat their mozzarella was a top priority. Well, instead of cutting it into squares or wedges like a plebeian, he tried extruding mozzarella into sticks, then packaging them individually for easy grabbing. The key innovation was heating and stretching the cheese just enough that it retained its peelable quality. Cue the angels singing, or at least some children cheering at lunchtime. Shosh, were there any lunchtime favorite foods that you had, of course, outside of string cheese, or any that you wish that you got, maybe that were like popular at the time?
You know, I was definitely, I think I mentioned this before, I was like, for some reason, obsessed with bologna on rye. Like I was a 88-year-old man on the Upper West Side or something.
I love, okay, wow, this is great. Keep going.
Just like nothing else on the sandwich, like no mayo, no like vegetables, no nothing, truly just sliced bologna on seedless rye. I would eat that like religiously. Even now I'm like, that kind of sounds like it slaps, even though it's been so long. And then I would also be like a pizza Lunchables gal. But
okay.
I was always envious of the like proper sandwich lunchbox moment. But
and what would that be?
Like if you had like a composed sandwich, something that like took a little bit more
With more
intention than just
ingredients
like,
in it? Okay.
yeah, ingredients, I guess is the word I'm looking
Now, in these modern times, would you venture to putting on any type of condiments or other components, or do we have to keep it as it once was?
I'm a bit of a purist. I
Okay.
think I would want the true experience, and even just getting the fennel seeds feels like such a departure for me that
Mm,
I don't know that I want to rock the boat too much.
okay. One step at a time.
Exactly.
Yes, we're adding that layer of sophistication, and then we see how it goes, and we take it from there. I think this
Exactly.
is an excellent approach. Well, by the early 1980s, string cheese had officially hit mainstream. Baker Cheese began mass producing string cheese, and other dairy companies followed suit. In fact, Baker Cheese continues to be one of the largest producers of string cheese in the US today. They make over, Shosh, can you guess how many sticks they produce in a day in today's time?
I mean, based on my consumption alone, I would have to
Hmm.
say like a million.
Okay. Well, by Price is Right rules, you win, but it's actually 3 million sticks a day.
Wow.
So you might have a whole community out there of fellow I mean, have you ever looked into this? Like an IRL group or like even an online community of like cheese stick aficionados or fans? Maybe
I mean, I
it's a whole.
can't imagine that Reddit does not have r/string cheese if I really
Okay.
looked for it.
Now, if you thought string cheese's story began and ended with a small town dairy plant in Wisconsin, think again. When this peelable mozz hit the market in the late 1970s, the cheese industry didn't just notice, it mobilized. Once word got out that kids love to peel their food like a banana made of dairy, the cheese industry pounced. What began as a clever idea at Baker quickly turned into a full blown snack war with billion-dollar brands fighting for a place in kids' lunchboxes. Let's meet the cast of characters in this great string cheese saga. First up, there's Frigo Cheeseheads, owned by Canadian giant Saputo. Frigo burst onto the scene in the 1990s with zany cartoon mascots and loud packaging that screamed, "We're having fun." Meanwhile, Polly O, your fave, was the Heritage Act, born in Brooklyn in
Let's
1899.
go.
So maybe that's a fun tie-in there to your
Yeah.
roots. And now part of the Kraft Heinz family, Polly O brought a century of mozzarella making cred to the table. Their string cheese was less about gimmicks and more about good old mozzarella craftsmanship, though Kraft's marketing machine certainly helped it to reach shelves nationwide. Finally, we have Lactalis, the French dairy titan behind Galbani. They showed up with an accent and an air of mozzarella sophistication, selling the snack with the kind of elegance only the French can apply to peelable dairy sticks. In short, every big cheese brand saw a string cheese and said, yeah, we're getting in on that. So I know that you don't work in dairy, but when it comes to seeing trends and following suit as a comedian, are there any comedy trends that happen or that you've noticed that you see some comedians getting into, or ones that you're like, hell no, I'm not even touching that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's definitely a lot of trends, but I think it's less about like subject matter and more about style. There always bursts onto the scene someone that revolutionizes their own style. And then for the next few years, every open micer that aligns aesthetically with that person will also align vocally with that person. So what we're
Oh.
seeing right now is a lot of people trying to copy John Mulaney, a lot of
Mm.
people trying to copy Kat Cohen, if you're familiar with her, who is so you either have the like slow pacing, formal John Mulaney, or you
Ah.
have the like, yeah, I'm super femme, but I sit in it in a powerful way, la 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 type of way that is Kat Cohen. And people kind of like follow those two paths until they settle into their own voice eventually.
Oh, interesting. So what do you think that is that more for them or for the audience to kind of be like, oh, this seems familiar, I will now listen and accept this? Or do you think that this is more for them being like, well, what they're doing works, so let me try this?
I think it's the latter. I think it's like, well, we've someone found a formula that works. Why would I
Mm.
try to reinvent the formula? I'm just going to follow it word for word and step by step. And then eventually you find that with stand-up comedy, you really have to be authentic for it to work. It doesn't matter if you're the best writer in the world, if people can tell that you're scripted on stage, like nobody wants to listen to you. So people will, like when I started stand up, I was wearing dresses and heels on stage and trying to be like super hyper femme. And then now looking back, I'm like, who was that? That is not me. But the people that do it well because they're living authentically in that space.
I think it's very common because people might also, oh boy, maybe we're getting too deep into like a therapy world again. It's not my role, but maybe it acts in a way kind of like as a mask. If you're doing something for the first time, maybe a little bit nervous, it's like, oh, okay, like it's not totally me. So I'm not super, super vulnerable because maybe I have this like layer of protection on as like a costume. I have no idea, but like,
no, yeah.
Or maybe
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I just earned my degree. Amazing. Okay, great. And if nothing else, it's character building. It's a funny story to tell once you're on your way and you have your own special on a streaming platform, you can look back at those romantic times.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's an origin story. I love it.
And for me, that Netflix special is a string cheese podcast. And that's when we're rediscovering it with nostalgia.
Hell yes. This is amazing. Well, now let's talk about what string cheese became. By the late 80s and the early 90s, string cheese was a certified lunchbox staple. It was easy to pack, didn't require refrigeration for a few hours, and importantly, didn't make a mess. It was sold in colorful plastic wrappers, often adorned with mascots or slogans like Cheese String's Last String Standing. And adults weren't immune either. By the early 2000s, string cheese was no longer just a kid-friendly novelty. It had found its groove in the age of low-carb diets, convenience culture, and nutritional messaging. Enter the Atkins diet. A carb-fearing people turned to high-protein snacks. String cheese emerged as a dairy weapon of choice. Baker cheese, for example, saw a major surge in sales as the Atkins craze hit its peak. Shosh, have you heard about the Atkins diet? Are you familiar with it? Have any opinions on it?
I had an almond mom in the craziest way. So I know every diet that came out in the early aughts. I'm very familiar.
Okay. Was there even more of a surplus of string cheese in your home during that time because of that?
So my mom is a very silly woman. So she tried every diet, but did it wrong, kind of would like apply her own rules and caveats around it. So she didn't necessarily, I think if she had done in her Atkins phase, if she had done it well, we would have been fighting for those cheese sticks a little more, but she kind of messed it up.
wasn't completely nailing it, but that worked in your favor because then you just got to eat them all.
Oh, there would have been like a full physical brawl if she had been going for my polio in a crazy way.
Well, fast forward, and while these major brands battled it out, private label cheese sticks quietly took over. Brands like Kirkland from Costco, Great Value from Walmart, and regional grocers, house brands, now account for massive chunks of the market. In just one 12-week stretch in mid-2024, private label string cheese sold over 31 million units, generating about $136 million, far outpacing Frigo and Kraft's branded sales in volume. Why? Do you have any guesses?
I mean, I think because they deserve it, but I'm sure there's a much better and reasonable answer.
Well, I like that answer. There's no right or wrong, and that's a nice one. Yeah. For starters, price and convenience, especially when you're putting it in your kids' lunch every day. Much of that private label string cheese, by the way, is still made by Baker, just with someone else's logo on the front. And just to note, in 2022, Sargento, fellow Wisconsin cheese heavyweight, acquired Baker cheese, expanding their reach in the snack cheese category and signaling just how valuable this little product had become. Again, to your point, not all brands are created equal for cheese. But when it comes to grocer brands, as opposed to like the quote unquote brand name, are there any that you will do interchangeably because maybe it's just more convenient or cheaper at the grocery store to do the grocer's brand versus the brand name that you really like? And are there any that you would be like, hell no, stay away from this one because it's way worse than the brand name?
Listen, if I'm in a pinch, like if I'm staying at an Airbnb and we're going to Walmart and all they have is good value, that's what I'm getting. It's more of a binary for me in those moments. But based off the ones you listed, I would trust Kirkland with my life. I would take Kirkland penicillin if they sold it. So I trust them. I'm sure that would be great.
Okay, so all of their products, you've been like, yeah, these are good to me.
Yes, I think there
Okay.
is something. I've talked about this with other friends of mine, but there's something with having immigrant parents where you sometimes view Kirkland as like better than the store brand or than the name
Oh,
brand. So I am very pro Kirkland in this house.
that's cool. Okay, this is very interesting to me. Do you care to share more about what that mentality is, where it kind of comes from and what it means?
Sure. So I have European Jewish immigrant family, and my one of my best friends is first generation Chinese, and we always compare the similarities of our upbringing. And we both share that Kirkland was always like, no, this is great quality and we can get it in bulk. So we're not going to run out and you're going to like it and it's going to be great. Like I had Kirkland clothes. When I turned 21, I would get Kirkland vodka, like truly the whole spectrum of things. And I've never been disappointed. It is truly one of the, like, I can tell the difference between a CVS brand Band-Aid and a Band-Aid brand Band-Aid. If you give me Kirkland, I'm probably going to be like, well, this one has more cushion. And it is like so much more scalable. I, for the first time in my life, have an apartment with storage. So the first thing I did was make a massive, massive Kirkland order and like stock up on everything.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
And this is and if this is like an endorsement if I've ever heard it for
I
for Kirkland. Honestly, I don't know if
love
they do
Kirkland.
UGC or influencer marketing, but
Please.
listen, you should get in on that.
If they're looking for someone, but here's the thing, they are so reliable that I don't even think they do marketing at all. Like
Yeah, now
if
that you
you're a
say
place
it, I've
that
never seen
doesn't
it.
they haven't raised the price on a slice of pizza or a hot dog in like 20 years. I love that place.
You're right. That is kind of their whole ethos
Yeah.
is just, they're very of the people. Respect.
Yeah.
Okay, Kirkland, shout out.
Kirkland, the
Amazing.
Democratic Socialist brand.
I don't know if they'll accept that tagline, but like I'm into it. Sounds cool to
Yeah.
me. Who knows? And especially if they're not doing a lot of marketing anyway, they
Yeah.
may not even hear this. They couldn't care less. I'm not sure, but I love that backstory though, and it makes a lot. It makes so much sense. But that adds just that added layer to the adoration and connection
Oh
to
yeah.
them. So that's beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Now, you might ask, does string cheese exist outside the United States? Well, yes and no. Closest in appearance, Sakaru cheese, made by Megamu Milk Snow brand in Japan, is a peelable mozzarella style cheese. Its name, Sakaru, literally means tear, and it's engineered with the same pasta filata technique that gives American string cheese its satisfying pull apart texture. Now, cheese made in the pasta filata tradition certainly does exist outside of the American cheese stick form. In Armenia and parts of the Middle East, a type of string cheese made from goat or sheep's milk is seasoned with caraway or nigella seeds, also known as black cumin, and braided into ropes. Known as Armenian string cheese, it's salty, chewy, and usually served with olives or flatbread rather than a Capri Sun. In Mexico, quesillo, also called Oaxaca cheese, is another close cousin. It's a fresh white cheese made with the same curd stretching process. Instead of forming sticks, it's traditionally sold in balls of tightly wound ribbons that you pull apart, much like string cheese. So while America may have popularized the grab and go stick format, the concept of stringy cheese has deep global roots. Well, today, string cheese is more than just a snack. It's an industry. In the US alone, string cheese accounts for a huge chunk of mozzarella production, especially in Wisconsin and California. It's a staple in school lunch programs, often marketed as a source of calcium and protein for kids and adults too. In fact, in 2023, the US string cheese market was valued at $4.9 billion. And in 2024 alone, Americans bought, wanna partake in this guessing game again and guess how many sticks of string cheese were purchased in 2024?
Wow. Let's say 20 million.
20 million. Okay. Again, by Price is Right rules, you win, but this might just rock your
More?
world. It's 391 million sticks of string cheese.
Well, I mean, I should have guessed because I'm at least half of that. So.
Right. You contribute so much. You have
really do.
you have to put that into the equation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm at the point where other people are looking at milk and gas prices for inflation. I could tell you when polio goes up.
Oh, okay. This is a very like Rain Man experience. You're like, string cheese, got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well now you have that figure in your toolkit. So
Mhm.
you'll be able to take that number, that figure, and compare it with next year, or maybe even make your own projections based off of that.
Wow.
This is very
I'm gonna do
exciting.
some pivot tables when I get off this call.
Hell yeah. Well, the snack industry as a whole has embraced single serve cheese products. Think Baby Bell, cheese and nut packs, and yes, string cheese rolled in turkey, bacon, and salami. Convenience is king, and string cheese still reigns as the most fun to eat. It's got what few snacks can boast: interactive joy. So, the next time you peel a piece of string cheese, know that you're taking part in a surprisingly rich history. From the mozzarella prose of medieval Italy and ancient cheese stretching traditions to a small town in Wisconsin and modern snack time brilliance, string cheese is a ritual, a memory, a cultural artifact. Shrink wrapped for your convenience. Shosh, what do you think about the backstory of string cheese?
It's so fascinating. I think I viewed my consumption of string cheese as such an isolated experience, but to see that it's part of such a rich tapestry of history and cultures is it's cool. It's interesting to hear. I thought it was like truly the most basic of snacks, but it seems like it's actually quite an elaborate backstory.
Yeah, it's rooted in history for sure. And then as many modern, for lack of a better word, inventions or innovations come about, it's taken from something that already existed and just turned into more of a modern take. Maybe it's to make something more accessible or
Yeah.
easier or transportable, whatever the case is. But it all has that origin story. So yeah, your little string
Fascinating.
cheese is pretty impressive.
Yeah. That was wild. That was so much more than I expected. When I sent over my favorite foods, I almost didn't expect string cheese to be the one that you picked because I was like, what is there to say? Don't bite it. Like,
Right. I just come in, I say one sentence, and
and we're
then
done.
it's world's shortest podcast episode
Yeah.
ever. No, I think that's the cool thing too, is that sometimes it's the most unsuspecting foods that I look at and I'm like, that's the one. Because there's got to be more to it than what
Yeah.
meets the eye.
No, I appreciate that. I like having more context to share when people come over, that's the first thing I offer them. So if they're like, "What? That's weird." I can be like, "Actually, that's really disrespectful to the Baker family, and let me tell you more about that."
Yes, and then you bust out a PowerPoint that includes clips from this podcast episode,
Absolutely.
and they leave and they're like, whoa. Well, and string cheese has even made it into pop culture. In Colorado in 1993, American jam band The String Cheese Incident formed and still making music as of 2024.
Whoa.
In 1997, the movie Mouse Hunt came out, where the climactic scene reveals the brothers run down string factory, turning it into a string cheese factory. In the 2000s, it became a minor meme on the internet. Forums debated the right way to eat it: peel or bite. People voted popularly for peeling while worrying about the wellness of the ones who choose to bite. Would you agree with that sentiment, or what's your take?
So this might be controversial. I will say, like, when I was younger and I first started using dating apps, it was like one of my go-to prompts. Like, my controversial opinion is like, if you bite your string cheese, swipe left or whatever. But now I think because it's, oh God, I am honestly embarrassed to admit this, but I've gotten
Oh,
into more of like a biting phase, and I string when
okay.
I want. Stringing for me is more of like the experience, and
Mm.
biting is more for the practicality. It
Mm.
depends on what I'm trying to do, you know?
Yeah. It can check all the boxes. It's a time and place situation, and I
Yeah,
can I can respect that. Yeah.
yeah.
It
But
makes it.
justice for the biters.
Oh, okay. This is such a beautiful episode. This is really turning out nicely. I love this.
I feel like we're learning a lot about just like humanity overall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Acceptance,
Yeah.
patience.
Open-mindedness,
Yes.
cross culture,
Mm,
pollination. Yeah.
this is beautiful. Yes. In June 2021, the longest string cheese went to Wyowegas Star Dairy in Wisconsin. They set a record at, back to our guessing game, do you want to guess how long this string cheese was?
3 feet.
Oh, as the world record?
Is that way under?
Okay. Well, I Price is Right rules. Ding ding ding. Okay, buckle up. It's 3,832 feet.
Whoa. Is that a mile? Is that more than a mile?
It's more than half a mile.
Wow. Why am I so small-minded? I'm like 3 feet.
It's a conservative guess. It's okay, but yes, I encourage you to have all the utmost confidence. There may be a point coming up really soon for you to redeem yourself, and
Okay.
so we'll see. But
We'll see.
don't feel like you have to go too high. But who knows? There's nothing at stake here. It's just for funsies. So,
Cool.
Mami Endo of Tokyo got a Guinness World Record for the most strips peeled on a string cheese in 1 minute. Do you want to guess how many strips were peeled in 1 minute from that string cheese?
Let's say 650.
Oh, okay.
Way too many.
We got a little confident on that one, but I like, and I'm trying to imagine in my mind's eye what 600 like strings from
me
one
too.
would look like. Sounds impressive as hell. And I think that this person should go up against somebody else.
I'll be the other person.
Done and done. Okay, so shout out Mami Endo. Let's go.
Yeah.
Either coming from Tokyo or Shosh is going to Tokyo.
I guess I can go to Tokyo.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fun. How
Yeah.
incredible! Yeah, you'd have to make like a shirt or a sweatshirt or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Like get a whole team rally behind you.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this.
I
Okay.
went to Tokyo to peel 650 strings from a piece of cheese, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
Trademark that. Well, this particular session produced 33 strips. Which
I could beat that.
oh, could you? Okay, great. All right, then let's go. Game
Let's go. We're
on.
going to Tokyo. Everybody get your passport ready.
Here's our last record. It's from July 2024, where another Guinness World Record was gained in Oaxaca, Mexico for the largest string cheese ball. Can you guess how much this string cheese ball weighed?
I'm going to say 700 pounds.
700 pounds. Okay, I like where we're going here. This is in the right direction, but it is 1,403 pounds.
Oh, I got less than half.
Or 6, well, it is a lot closer than like the 600 strands of cheese. So putting that into context,
Okay.
you're not that far off. And they did that using over 10,000 liters or 2,642 gallons of milk.
Wow. Those poor cows.
Are there any other pop culture moments that you can think of, or any final words that you have about your favorite food?
What I would recommend is if you get a little plate, put some Frank's Red Hot, and then string out a piece, kind of drag it through and eat it. It's unbeatable.
Oh, wow.
Can't recommend it enough if you want something beyond just like kind of the bland salt mozzarella moment.
Okay, and how did you go about discovering this?
I think what happened was I was eating something that I was dipping into Frank's, and then finished the meal, needed that palate cleanser, and was like, well, there's still Frank's on the plate. I'm going to try it. And it was what a beautiful discovery that was.
Oh, okay. So this is a fun pro tip. So when we're feeling fancy and we want to zhuzh it up a bit, that's how we're doing it.
Yeah. It's kind of the low fry wing moment.
Oh, I love it. Shosh, thank you so much for joining to talk about your love for string cheese and helping me to tell its story.
Thank you for having me. I feel like a renewed sense of respect for string cheese, and I'm excited to have one probably immediately after this call.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.